Check, check. Okay, guys, I think the time is up. So everything, please get ready before we start our debate. Sebelum itu kita roll call dulu ya. Untuk opening government dari Unsud, apakah ada di sini?
Me and my partner here.
Oke, untuk dari opening opposition, Patimura, apakah di sini?
Here.
Oke, CG, Man 2 Kota Pekanbaru A.
Here.
Oke, and closing opposition, Islam Tazkiyah A. Islam Tazkiyah A.
Here.
Okay, guys. All right. Before we start our debate, I'm going to ask you in this sections, in this debate right now, we are going to record and do live stream. So do you guys consent to be recorded and to be put in the live stream? Or is it okay for you guys to be recorded? Jadi di sini kita bakalan live stream. Apakah kalian memiliki problem atau enggak consent to be recorded? Apakah consent semua?
Damn.
Dari opening government, apakah consent?
Take that as a no.
Okay, opening opposition.
We are consent.
Okay, and closing government. Closing government.
Yep, it's not a big problem for us.
Okay, how about closing opposition?
I think we should be okay with that.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, we're going to start our debate. Welcome to the pre-finals of NEC-IONAIRE 2021. In opening government, we have Unsud. In opening oppositions, we have Patimura. In closing governments, we have Man 2 Kota Pekanbaru A. And in closing opposition, we have Islam Tazkiyah. And the adjudicators is me, Randy Frizlada as the chair, and we have also Citra Dewi Harma as the panelist. Okay, without further ado, please welcome to open the case. Please welcome opening government. Here.
Testing. Are you hearing? Hello?
Yes, you can start.
Yes. I will start my debate in 3, 2, 1. The South believe that progressive political candidates should not accept any kind of large donations such as cash facilities and service from rich donors or corporations. Well, first of all, I would like to explain about what is the condition right now and of course the definition of this motion. First of all, we know that political candidates have a lot of things that they have to take care about, a lot such as society, and of course they have a people that they have to take care itself. So the sense of the liberalism and fairness, and of course they have to think all about it to become one of the good political candidates, especially for them which are progressive political candidates that have a meaning that they are represent values of liberalism idea, which they have to stay fair and of course to think about others and think about the equality in the society itself, ladies and gentlemen. So of course, we have the case of urgency that we need a political candidate who support and think about everyone's condition, and they cannot just being a one-side government and one-side politicals that only support one side of corporation or donors or any kind of aspect or company. So we, as the government team, would like to propose this proposal that any political candidate should not accept large donations from rich donor or corporations. And of course, we have a goal to make a better political status that neutral and fair for all of the society and not a one-side political, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the solution that we would like to bring that, it doesn't mean, even if we proposing this proposal, it doesn't mean that we as political candidates doesn't receive any kind of donations. We just reject any kind of large donation that have a high amount that have a ridiculous large amount of thing that also is not, it's really high that even it doesn't, that political candidate doesn't need that kind of the large donation. But in fact, the donation should already be enough even if it's not from the large donation from the company, I mean, we are talking about a large scale of society where a lot of people donating. So we doesn't even need this of large donations from the rich donor or corporations to support the political candidates' economic status. So let me explain to you guys why we, the government team, would like to support this motion. First of all, as liberalism who support equality before the law, including progressive political candidates, they need to stay neutral and receive high amount, and they need to stay neutral and fair to the society itself. And this sense of liberalism and fairity from the political candidates itself might be destroyed and changed by receiving high amount of rich donors just to violate the sense of liberalism that they already own, ladies and gentlemen. We have to think that human philosophically, that humans may pay for something with a wish for a feedback, ladies and gentlemen, including donors like this, including the large donors that being received by the rich donors and other corporations, ladies and gentlemen. With that high amount of donors and donations from the donors and corporation, we already know that they have a lot of chance that those rich donors are not just doing or helping the candidates by giving charity, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of chance that what they did, sorry, is a bribe, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys listen to me. And of course, to make politicians support them and to make politicians recognize the companies or the donors and to make the politicians side to them. This is our one of the reasons why donors and corporations would dare to pay a lot of large donations just for the corporation and of course for the political candidates, ladies and gentlemen. They wish that the political candidates will recognize, support, and side on them, so their companies and corporations might become supported and by the government itself when they are chosen to become the next politician, ladies and gentlemen. So in the end of the day, this is not a kind of the scenario that with the government time wish to happen, ladies and gentlemen. We want not this one side scenario of the politicians happen, of course, because we need a political candidate that supports everyone. We need political candidates that think about the society in larger scale. We cannot just think about this whole bribe. Of course, without this we're not accepting the large donation of the listener of the corporation. We are prepared enough to destroy any kind of the bribery that might happen in our society, including in this progressive political candidates, which have a high sense of neutralism and of course the liberalism and equality, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we cannot wish for political itself to just think about one side. Think about everyone. Think about someone who didn't donor. This is our one of the things that we have to think again, because there are a lot of people there that politicals need to take care, a lot of people that need to receive help and support from the political itself. We cannot just think about just a corporation itself. And in fact, this money, the root of all evil, may change people, ladies and gentlemen, because it may change from someone from being honest to dishonest and from politicians to become a corrupter, ladies and gentlemen. We already know that the donation should already enough without this large donation campaign. But what happened if they, in the end of the day, just keep receiving large donation? From politicians that being honest, they may change due to this bribe, ladies and gentlemen. They will not become a dishonest candidate. And when they elected in one more time, they could probably become a bigger problem, like becoming a corrupter or someone who just become a money-oriented politicians where they only support everyone who support them, only support everyone who donor for them, and only support everyone who give them a large amount of money, ladies and gentlemen. In the end of the day, we didn't want this scenario to happen because we need a politicians that neutral who think about everybody. We cannot just let anyone to that money-oriented or just want to take donors and money, cash facilities and others just to make them become to make a politicians become a profit-oriented, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we don't want a political oriented profit. I say to you guys one more time that we need someone who support everyone. We need someone who think about everyone. And of course, with it, this case will not happen if we just keep accepting large donations from the rich donor of the corporation itself. So that's why, by the reason of the liberalism sense, the sense of and the nature of human that may pay something only for a feedback, and of course the sense that money, the root of all evil, may change people, including political candidates that progressively, we, the government team, would like to propose this proposal to not accept large donation from rich donors of corporation. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Prime Minister. To respond to case from opening government, please welcome leader of opposition. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
If you have any POI, just let me know in the chat box. And I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we know that in this debate, we would like to talking about this House belief that progressive political candidates should not accept large donation, for example, like cash, facilities, services from rich donors and corporation. And we, as the opposition team, really disagree with this motion. So before I would like to deliver to you about my argument and my rebuttal, I would like to deliver to you the concept and the urgency that already happened in our society right now. If the government thing said that the progressive of political candidates needs the donation in order to make the what we can say the equality in the society, and rather than focusing in the corporation who give the large donation for the political candidates, in here I would like to say to you that the real urgency and the real status quo that already happened in our society, ladies and gentlemen, is how the progressive political candidates get the large donation itself. However it is small, is it small or is it large donation that come from the rich donors or the corporation, the progressive political candidates needs the money or the fund in order to apply their program or in order to apply the campaign or something like that, ladies and gentlemen. And in here, we know that if we are talking about the urgency, it means that how the way the progressive political candidates will get the donation in order to apply the program itself, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give one point of rebuttal that come from the Prime Minister itself. So the Prime Minister, he said that the corporation will be the place that the political candidates focusing in rather than give the equality for the society and think about the society itself, ladies and gentlemen. But in here, as we know that the rich donor and also corporation, they do not focusing in how they can get the feedback such as the money or the fund that come from the political candidate itself, ladies and gentlemen. If the political candidates win, it means that their name of the corporation and also the rich donors, for example, like the people or the organization or community that give the large donation for the political candidates itself, they have the name and also they can be famous in the society, ladies and gentlemen. It is what the corporation and also the rich donor think about. They think about their own business. They think about their own reputation, ladies and gentlemen, and they are not thinking about what is the funding or what is the donation that they are already give for the political candidates to be back home or to be went home for their corporation itself, ladies and gentlemen. So in here, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring 2 points of view opinions in here. For the first one, why is it justified to the government or to the political candidate accept the large good donation itself that come from the rich donor and corporation? And the second one is why is it beneficial for the political candidates and also the corporation itself, that I would like to bring from my deputy of leader of opposition, ladies and gentlemen. So the first one, why is it justified, ladies and gentlemen? As we know that the progressive political candidates, it means that they focusing in how the liberalism system or how they can think about the society equality and so on and so forth. For example, like the feminism movement, the LGBTQ plus community, and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. They think about the society, ladies and gentlemen. And in order to get the food, in order to get the food from the society itself, ladies and gentlemen, they need campaigns. They need how to socialize their society, they need to socialize their program for the society, ladies and gentlemen, and it needs a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen, that we can get from the rich donor and also the corporation. The first one, how the campaigns can get the vote from the society, ladies and gentlemen. In order to get a vote and also in order to make a campaigns, they need the donation from the rich donor and corporation. Maybe the opposition team would like to say that the political candidates will get the fund or will get the donation from the party or from their people who support them to go to the election or something like that, ladies and gentlemen. But in here, as we know that even though they get the donations from their party also have another, even though they have a same value for the equality of the society or something like that, but they also have the different way how do they make the program to make equality of the society, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look for the example. If the political candidates, they need to solve the urgency of our society right now, for example, like how the feminism movement, they fight for the sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and so on and so forth. But the party of their side, they need to focusing in equality of workplace for the women or the feminism movement itself. So they have different, a different way how to they implemented the program from their what we can say, the program itself for this element. But if we're talking about the rich donor and corporation, they just thinking about their business, they just thinking about their reputation. If they give the donation or they give funding for the political candidates, when the political candidates they win, it means that win-win will be happen, which means that the political candidates win to apply the program for the society, and also the corporation win to get the reputation, to get the name of the society itself, to get the support from the society. How if the opposition team will say that, how if the progressive political candidates will be lose in the election or something like that, how it could be possible? But if the program that already happened in the campaign, for example, like that, to get the vote or to get the what we can say, to get a voice from the society itself, this element, they also can get reputation and also can fulfill their business to get attention from the society, how they can support LGBTQ plus community. If, for example, the program is hearing something like they make a community that support the LGBTQ plus and so on and so forth, and to get the vote from the other citizens, in order to, they are not supporting the LGBTQ plus or something like that, they need the campaign, they need socialize for the society, how they can respect the community or something like that. So however it is it a small donation, is it large donation that come from the rich donor or corporation itself, they need to use it to apply their program itself. So that's why we think that all of the program that will be delivered by the political candidates is for example, like the liberal ideologies from the political candidates will be applied with the large donation that come from the rich donors and corporations itself. Thank you.
Thank you to leader of oppositions. To respond to case from leader of opposition, please welcome Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. So my POI preference is you can just unmute your mic. And I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So ladies and gentlemen, so before we move to the argument, I would like to bring some rebuttal to the opposition team's argument. So the opposition team said that the political candidate needs money for the campaign to implement, to socialize their programs and etc. But we think, as the government, we think that if we only focus on money, especially if that money comes from the rich people or the rich corporation, then the politics is becoming very money oriented. And it means that the one that have more money will have better chance to win the election or will get more vote. And this will make an unhealthy environment for the democracy itself, because we believe as the government that a political candidate should be evaluated by their value, by how their leadership and how they make policies, not from how much money they get to make their campaign looks very, very fantastic and etc. So by getting money from rich donators or corporation, we actually try to make the unhealthy environment for the democracy itself. And also, we also have to consider that those political candidates also gets money from their political parties, or we can say that a lot of political candidates is already a rich person, so they should have enough money to support their election campaign and etc. to gain more voters and etc. But we also have to consider that money is not the main focus, the main orientation of political campaign, because a political candidate should be evaluated by their own values. So now I will move to my argument. So what will actually happen when a progressive political candidate grants money or donation from the rich people or the corporation? Because we know that progressive political candidates value liberal ideology over anything. So when a liberal political candidate grants large donation from rich donors or a particular corporation, they will feel like they grant the debt of gratitude to them, or moral duty to the donators itself, which in here is the rich people and the corporation. So because we know that the donors or the corporation especially, they are money oriented, so they have something behind those things. And because they're not always generous when they give something, especially corporation who are money oriented in the first place. When they give something to the political candidate, they want something from it. It could be from a certain policies or etc. So this will create a debt of gratitude or moral duty to the political itself, because we also have to know that debt of gratitude is not like a financial debt or something, because a financial debt could be paid with a transaction, could be paid with money, but a debt of gratitude is kind of hard to pay, because there's no solid way to pay it back, because it could be in the shape of act or something. So when we get a donation, for example, when we get a donation from a certain people, we will be very thankful and feels like we have to give something in return. And it also applies to this when rich donors or a corporation donates a large amount of money to the political candidate. The political candidate will feel like they have to give them something in return. So this is mainly because donors or corporation must have something behind it. When they invest on something, they feel like they need to get something from it. And that's the nature of the corporation itself. And they will do whatever benefits them. For example, when the corporations give facility and etc. to the political candidates, they want something in return. They want the political candidate, they expect the political candidate to give them policies that will make their business grow larger and etc. And also for the rich figure or millionaire businessman, when they donate to progressive political candidate, they will expect something in return for them, and they want easier way to expand their business and etc. So with all of that, the politician will always try to put them first over the society, over the citizen, and will be very heavy to one side because they favor those donators than the others who doesn't donate to them. Because in the end of the day, a progressive politician value liberal ideology. So the idea of that ideology itself is to espouse a wide array of views depending on their understanding of this principle. Also, although they support the individual right and free speech and etc., they should not favor or heavy to only one side. And because when they get a donation, they get feeling of or the debt of gratitude, just like what I mentioned before. So what will happen, the further impact of this? So when they feel like they have to give something in return, the politician have a chance to create a policy or a rules that only favoring the stakeholder that give them the donation. This will lead to unfair policies to the citizen itself, because those people are small people powerless people who doesn't have money. But when the corporations donates to the political candidate, and if the political candidate feels like they have to give them something in return, in the end of the day, they will make a policies that will favor to those corporations and rich people. And this will open more chance of capitalism, because when a corporate give a donation to the politician and they feel like to give them something in return, just like what I mentioned before, the policies will only favor those corporate and etc. So, and in the end of the day, the gratitude is very hard to pay back, because it's not just like a simple transaction and etc. At the end of the day, the politician will make policies that will favor those corporate and the donators, and will make the new effort capitalism that will make the citizens and the society suffer even more because of this capitalism. This also open a new gate for corruption to prosper, because we know that the human nature is greed. We want we never enough of something. So when a political candidate, when they get money and they get elected because they able to make that money for the election, and they get elected, and this will create a circle of devil, because they get the money and they will make policies that will favor those corporations. Those corporations will then give those monies back to the political candidate for them to make a better, smoother way for them to increase the capitalism that they plan to do in the first place. So this is actually very, very bad for the citizen, for the society, because it will make them suffer that their leader is corrupted because they get donation from those corporates. So with all of that, we support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for Deputy Prime Minister. Next, to respond to case, please welcome Deputy Leader of Opposition, here.
Hi everyone, my name is Rahmat and my pronouns is he, him. I am here as deputy of leader of oppositions. I will start my speech at 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to deliver my rebuttal. Earlier before that, the leader of deputy of prime ministers said that politicians are rich people too. But here's what he doesn't know. Most of the rich people coming from a businessman, and most of these businessmen running a corporations. And I also want to rebuttal what prime ministers already delivered. He said that rich people and corporations. He said that what if these rich people and corporations have a political interest, and they have different value, and they want you to do stuff that contradictive with the candidate's value. Just for your information, businessmen and corporation doesn't care about politics. What do they care the most is as long as they can run this business, as long as they they can do their business, then it's fine. And what do businessmen and corporations really care about? They care about reputations and how people see them. And the urgency right now, like so many people, so many young generations that need to be represented in a political in our political systems, and we're afraid that some minority that doesn't have any representation in our government. It is so bad because most of the time that yes, there's a progressive political candidates, but there's only one way that they can get inside, through a party where they get most of their money from the party to help them campaign themselves so they can get elected. But the problem is most of the time, people who powerful people who have high profile in the party is actually old people, old generations that doesn't represents the value. What are we the people need right now, what are the generations need right now. They need simply want to represent, for example, like LGBT people, and then there is a feminism movement that doesn't get the chance, that don't get the chance to be represented. And I believe that candidates, progressive political candidates, have many programs that they want to implement it, but they can implement it because their party forbid them to do that, because they're scared that it's gonna harming the political party reputations, which is bad. That's why the only alternative that we can get, so they can get elected, and so they can in order to get elected, they need to gain people's sympathy. How they gain people's sympathy? They need to run some program, some activities to gain people's sympathy, to do a campaign. And campaign doesn't need small amount of money. They need a large amount of money. And how they by accepting the money from the businessmen and the corporations, they would like to they're gonna able to implement this program, and then they're gonna gain people's sympathy, and later on they're gonna be elected. So our goals here, so to make the candidates can be more free to implement the program when they get elected without interfere by their parties who want them to do what the parties want. Because even if the party have the same value with the candidates, they have a different way to implement this value. For example, earlier my prime minister already delivered, like even we're coming for a feminism political party that support feminism value, but the party just want to more focused to fighting for the equality in a workplace. But as the candidates want to more focus on the agency issues, for example, such as abortions and sexual harassment and stuff. So even if the progressive political candidates have good program and they want to implement it, they have to interfere by the political interest. That's why I think that it is beneficial. This is my burden of view. Why is it beneficial? It is because the candidates get elected, they have no any responsibility for the party organization to do what the party organization want to do. I think it is also a win-win for the candidates and the donor, where the corporation will get a good reputation. How this can be done? I already designed my model where, in order to gain sympathy from the people, the candidates need to do a program that already been delivered before. And the donor and corporation give the money to the candidates so they can implement any program and the activity in order to gain people's sympathy. And by doing this, the company and the donor will get a good reputation too, because they already represent some people's values, and it's good for the business, because when we know that these corporations represented me, do something, he give a donor to people who actually do something that, for example, maybe a company give a donor to progressive political candidates, and these progressive political candidates do a campaign about prevention of younger generation of LGBTQ communities suicidal preventions, and it's good, and this gain a sympathy from the LGBT community to to elected these candidates, and also it will gain good reputation from them, and this the company will get attached with the LGBT community, and LGBTQ community will support the company and these rich people, because that what I already said, it's a win-win for the both party. I think that before we do that, we want to set clear contract or agreement where there is no any responsibility to fulfill for the candidates if they get elected. We will make sure that the candidates are legally protected. So even if they spend, they kind of like take money and they need to give back the money. There is we want to make it clear that how long they should give back the money. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for Deputy Leader of Oppositions. To close the debate and bring new extensions, please welcome Member of Government here.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Syed Mohammed Rizwan. I am from the closing government bench and acting as the government member. And my pronouns are he or him. My preference is just using the raise hand feature in Zoom or say POI in the chat room. And with that out of the way, I will start my debate session in 3, 2, 1. Okay. First of all, as the closing government, of course, we here as the closing government will give an explanation and will give rebuttals and to give arguments that differ from the opening half of this debate session. And first of all, I'm as the government member would like to rebut what the opening opposition has said. Then the biggest mistakes from the opening opposition is that they are dismissive and neglect the value of progressive political candidates, which was upheld by the candidates, and that the value is to be a candidate that respects and confound other ideologies and to be a role model as the means of being a political candidate. Now, they simply talked about how to win the debate by taking all the donors' donations, but they forgot to base on their arguments on progressive value, and that's why we don't need to credit them. It's about to join the election and to win the election as a progressive political candidate. Now, the goal that we have here are the same, but the difference is under our side, we think that we still can win the election and we still can embrace our values as a progressive political candidate that upholds the value of liberalism. Now, they are only winning the election, but fail to uphold the values of progressivity, because when they take the donations, they will most likely focus and follow and will be failed or simply put the donors on priority in the meanings of policy. Now, what I mean by this is that if we were to take the large donations that have been given by these donors or by these large-scale corporations, then it will give a sense of that, and not only a sense of that, like this is what the distinct difference from us, the closing government and the opening government, is that the closing government and the opening government said that it was a sense of moral debt. For us, it's different. It is a sense of literal debt and also a sense of dependent on these donors. What I mean as a sense of debt is that, of course, a literal debt is that, of course, maybe these donations, maybe yes, they have been given, even if yes, the political candidates, they decide to take or to receive these large-scale donations that have been given by these donor groups or by these large-scale corporations. Of course, they didn't think about the worst-case scenario that could happen. What if the political candidate didn't win this? Didn't win the political. Didn't win the, for example, maybe Pemilu, and of course, those donations, of course, maybe the large-scale corporations, of course, again, large-scale corporations, it is rarely for them to only give donations, of course, only to support these political candidates. Of course, it has other interests. It will make an of course, and if the political candidate didn't win, of course, they will feel like they have been cheated. And of course, maybe as a sense, as a form of backlash or as a form of retaliation. Of course, they will want the money that have been donated by them to be given back to the corporations that have given out that donation to the political candidate. Now, the second reason is that also as a former rebuttal to the opening opposition is that in order to, where the leader of opposition just said that in order to get votes, they need to receive large-scale donations, and we think otherwise. We can still win as the progressive liberalist political movement just by accepting small-scale donations. Now, my explanation is this is that, first of all, it is a proof and sign that us as the liberalist political candidates, we support all kinds of ideologies, sides, and corporations. So we are still supporting these political parties or these minority groups, while still keeping true to our liberalist nature. That is to respect and to embrace other ideologies and to be a role model as the means of being a political candidate. Now, of course, again, why is it a proof and a sign that us as the liberalist political candidates that we support these ideologies, sites, and corporations is that these small-scale donations from this group of donors and corporations will be enough. It will be as much, if not much more, than only receiving donations from one group or corporation. And maybe the government side would want to rebut this by saying, you can't just rely on small-scale donations, it will not be enough. Now, what I'm saying here by it will be as much, if not much more, is that of course, there are many minority groups that wanted to have recognition, and they want to have their rights to be upheld as high as any other majority groups. Now, of course, these minority groups, they will give, of course, we're just going to accept small-scale donations from them, so that that is a form of trust, and it is a form of sign that us as the liberals political candidates, we support all kinds of ideologies. Of course, these minority groups, while still keeping true to our liberalist nature. And so at the end of the day, it's going to be a take and give situation, and all of us will be in a win-win situation. Now, of course, also, us as the liberalist, the progressive, we as the progressive political candidates, we think that the bad repercussions that would come from receiving large-scale donations highly overweigh the positive repercussions. And one of those reasons is that, again, what I said before, it can be a sense of debt, and the political candidates will be dependent on these donors that have given them these large-scale donations. Maybe, for example, a soap manufacturing company or a manufacturing company has given a large-scale donation to this liberalist political donor. Of course, yes, and then yes, of course, it's going to make a sense of debt to these manufacturers or to these corporations, and they will peer pressure the political candidate to make regulations or to make laws that will benefit only the corporations itself. And it will, of course, it will give negative repercussions to the public as a whole. And with that, I think my debate session is over.
Thank you for member of government. Next, please welcome member of opposition here.
Wait a moment. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges, we know the saying that money isn't everything, but most of the things cannot be achieved without money. Okay, so I think as the closing oppositions, I would like to emphasize about what our current status quo is. We live in a current society, especially in Indonesia, where progressive political candidates or any candidates in the politics that support liberal values having challenge, because actually in the parliament they have to beat, like, for example, the conservatives, right? So here we see the importance of for them to have a big power, right? From the whole bench, I mean in this chamber, from the opening, they always say like, okay, they need to support the value. We need to uphold this value of liberalism that are goods for our society. But if you only have ideology, if you only have the spirit of ideology, but you don't have the power to do that, you don't have the capital to do that, then what I mean, like, then how you could how you could make the ideology comes true, right? So and also in the current status quo, we see that some the capital candidates, needs capital, right, in order for them to uphold their value itself. So here maybe the opening opposition side, okay, they already have the funding from the government, they already have the funding from their political party. But here we know that in the our current status quo, why they still need to do that is sometimes those fund from the government or those fund from their political party are not fulfill their needs. Okay, their needs to what? To actually implement their ideology widely. Like Indonesia is a big country. We need a lot of capital to make sure that the implementations of what they want of their ideology is going well. Okay, so here I want to talk about like what does it looks like for for the progressive political candidates when they accepting the large donations from rich donors. Okay, two things. Okay, first, it looks like they can use this as a big support for them to uphold their values and to implement their ideology. And the second is by doing this, it could, like, if they cooperate, I mean, like, they could cooperate, and actually this action could better off for everyone. And I will explain further about this. Okay, okay, first of all, we need to see what are the intentions of the corporations and what are the intention actually for the rich donors, right? Corporations, mostly they are focusing on the economy. Why they are supporting the candidates? Because they want a better economy, even for the corporations. At the end, it will also help the citizens, because lots of our citizens are depending on those corporations. So they need also the power by actually giving large donation in hope that actually these progressive candidates, progressive political candidates could make a better policy. Okay, and also for example, the rich donors, they uphold, like, they come from the educated society, right? Most of them, so they must have like a value that could the value that they want the actually political candidates to spread wide to the society. And most of the times all those values are also good. So now talking about like why actually progressive political candidates needs to accept these funds from the rich donors. Okay, first of all, politics, like I said earlier, politics needs capital and power to stand out. Okay, and as we know, corporation has that capital, rich donors has that capital, that have a lot of money, right? So it is not only their ideology could be their power, their intellectual could be their power, but they also need the most important capital in order for all of them to run is the money, and it can only be given by the either from the corporations or the rich donor. Second of all, like corporations most of the time are those who supports liberal values, because we know that corporations want the benefits, especially benefits for the economy, right? They want for the candidates to set new policies that will in the parliament that is good for our economy, and actually to boost our current economy. And at the end, this is actually will benefit the nations too, right? When the corporations get better policy, when the corporation can do better, they will get better revenue. They could get they could and at the end of the day, our GDP will increase. So the third things is that also bringing these values, like rich donors could like give political benefits, right? Like So instead, we are antagonizing. We're always antagonizing, like why there are the corporation always wants something to return back. But if that something return back is good, then why not? Okay. So the second thing that okay. Okay, the fourth thing is progressive political candidates can brings the change for the nation for the better, right? If they could have this capital, they could work on it and finally give a big impact to the society. They could make our society become like a better society. We could like makes they could like implement many policies that are actually good. Either it is on the value, either it is in the like value of like equality that has been said maybe by the opening opposition, but also in the economic terms that we emphasize here. And the last thing is that antagonizing the actors or antagonizing the rich donor and corporations will lead us nowhere. Okay, we live in a society where we should, especially right now, we should hand in hand going together. Now if they're just antagonizing, like we don't know unless you try, right? We don't know like if they really have that kind I mean like bad intentions. Okay, but because some corporations are also have good intentions, they also want the better for the nations. Same goes like the rich people. Okay, so unless they try to for example they accept that donation, which is indeed will help also the benefits, then why not? Okay, and then okay, so what are the best scenario that we could get? Okay, this nation will become well developed with better equality because thus candidates have more capital to do so. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you for member of oppositions. To conclude or summarize the case from the government bench, please welcome government whip area.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
I'm as the government whip. I will start my debate in 3, 2, 1. First of all, I want to say that we are completely agreed that this House believes that progressive political candidates should not accept large donation, cash, facility service from rich donor or corporation. Before I go to my summarize, I would like to rebut some of the other team's point. First, they said that this is the change for corporation to contribute. But we think their contribute are already enough. For example, they give funding to promoting about election. So it's enough to begin with. So we think small donation is enough rather than accepting a large donation. Second, election is not always about money. Money is not the only one that count that consider of the progressive political candidates that can win the election. Engagement that can get from values, background, and other. That's why it's still possible for us to win the election even if we're not accepting the large donation. Second, the opposition said that they still need donation to do their program. It doesn't obligatory for the rich people or corporation to give large donation to the PCP, to the progressive political candidate is morally wrong. Because if they only need donation, but we think donation is enough. Example, they can get it from independent donation from government. It's not can be from the large donation from the rich donor or corporation. It's back again, it doesn't obligatory for the rich people or corporation to give large donation to the progressive political candidates because it's morally wrong. Because it also can be problematic. Okay, I will go to my summarize. Progressive political candidates are people that representing the value of liberal ideologies in various political aspects. Why should not the progressive political candidate should not accept large donation from the rich donor or corporation? First is because by get a little donation is enough for the progressive political candidates. Because when they decide to be the candidate, it means they have enough funds to do the campaign and other to succeed their election. So it means they don't really need this large donation. Because when they be the candidate, they have prepared their financial connection and another to support them. But again, it is the reason why even if they need a donation to do their program, they still cannot accept the large donation because before they be the candidate, they have prepared it before. Then, if we let the progressive political candidate accept large donation from the rich donor or corporation, it will be possibility about give and take relationship between the progressive political candidate and the rich donor or corporation. In the future, the progressive political candidates will feel they get help by this large donation, and they will think that they need to pay it back or do something same to them as a form of returning of favor. And also, when the rich donor give this large donation, they also expecting something back from the progressive political candidate in the future. They not give this large donation just like that. They will expect this. They will expect this. They want in the future, if the progressive political candidates win and selected, the rich donator or corporation will expect they get many help from the progressive political candidates, like by accepting their cooperation proposal, even if they actually not that capable than the other parties. By accepting the large donation from the rich donors or corporation, it will make the progressive political candidates put this rich donator or corporation as the first choice among the other. The rich donator and corporation that give large donation, they also expect the progressive political candidates will be in their side, support them with their activity and future plan. So it's make the progressive political candidates always say yes, yes, and yes to the rich donator or corporation, because it's as their form of returning the favor that they accept before. And by this thing happen, it's not only give effect to the progressive political candidate and the rich donator or corporation, but also bigger scope, which it will also give effect to the societies. Back again, because the progressive political candidates have felt that this large donation must be reciprocated. Later, they will forget about the society that really need because of the large donator need or want. It will make them like work for the rich donator or corporation earlier rather than work for the society overall. Like extend what my first speaker has said, we are only team would take in the worst case. We say that even if we lost from the election, at least we are not losing our values, which are very important for us because we live on it. The first is because we live on it. Second, because we survive because of it. And because it's our character. For example, we still live because respectness. We still can live because of respectness, even if we are homeless and other. Moreover, it gives satisfaction for us, and we use it as a reflection to join again in the future. And also, by not accepting the large donation, the progressive political candidate will also still can be win the election. If the opposition wants to win the debate, they should answer the question, why it's justified to take large donation from the North who have interest? Second, how you can guarantee you will not bias or still being neutral? So this is why our stance and our arguments are more exclusive than other teams. To close my debate, once again, I want to say that we are completely agreed that this House believes that progressive political candidates should not accept large donation, cash facility service from which donor or corporation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the member of government whip. Next, to summarize and conclude the debate from the opposition bench, please welcome opposition whip. Here.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I will set my own timer first, just to be safe. So my preferred pronouns is she, they, but actually I don't have any preference. And I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So something that I have summarized from what all the governments have been saying is that they're actually afraid of change. And what's funny is that this world is changing very rapidly in this era, especially in the pandemic, where everyone is expect to be really progressive, to be productive despite the pandemic. And then why I support this motion, why I don't support this motion, whereas the progressive political candidates should not accept large donation, cash, or facilities from rich donors or corporations. We, as the opposition, don't agree with this because we think they shall accept the donations for their own capitals and for good humanity cause. And this is the part where I shall do some elaboration, which is how the leader of opposition has said that the real urgency of this is that the progressive political candidates need the funds, they need the financial help in order to apply for their programs or campaigns. And as we know, when you are applying for new programs or campaigns, it is unreasonably pricey. It's hilariously pricey. I don't even know why it's always pricey for that, but just they're doing it because they want the betterment. They want a safer community. They want a safer world where everyone feels protected, where everyone feels shielded, where everyone feels equality, where the minorities are not afraid of expressing themselves, where the minorities simply do not fear the majorities. Because if I'm taking an example, is how the LGBTQ people who are still afraid of coming out because how judgmental everyone is, despite the rapidly changing world where we are in the 21st century, where everyone should be open-minded because of the rapid change. And in this, the progressive political candidates would want to support them. They would want their sympathy. That's why they would want to do it. They would need the money, because if they have this program where they are going to support everyone, regarding whether you are a minorities or majorities, well, then they might as well get the sympathy from those who are in the minorities. Because why? Just like how the deputy of opposition has said, because they need a representative, because they need someone. Like if I'm taking an example, like how Barack Obama became a president of the USA a few years ago, and that's when the black people start feel like they are being seen, that they are not invisible. Like white supremacy is not it's not entirely a supremacy, whereas that it always has to be the white people who's taking over, but also can those who are the people of color, those who are black. It's something like that. Like the community needs someone who's who's supporting the minority, and that's when the rich donors can come through. They can come help, because while if you're looking from the business side, like just like how the leader of opposition has said, that it will boost their name too. It will make their brand better. It will put their image into a better one. And if we're being really honest, at the end of the day, it's all about profit. But other than about the profit, it's about the betterment for everyone. It's about the saver community and how the current generation is in the urge of needing someone who wants to make a change. That how the world is changing, we need to make a change too. Like how the conservative people, like how I would say how the government keeps saying about morally wrong, blah blah blah, something like that. And how I would say that, well, we just need to change. Like conservative is not always good, conservative is also not always bad. We just need someone who can treat everyone equally, who can be fair, who can be just, who can apply justice, and then those who are not afraid to make a change for the sake of the future. Okay, maybe you can say that they are hyper experimenting everything. They're experimenting everything, and it's not always successful. But we want to change for the best. Like we want to make a community safer. We want to make everyone feel happy. We want to make everyone feel safe living in this world where everyone is treated equally. And how now I would like to do some rebuttals regarding points from the government, how the leader of opposition said about destroying any kind of bribery. And may I tell you, the difference between bribery and donations are two different things with different intention. How bribery is always a bribery most of the time, or may I say always, with malicious intention. Like when you do bribery, you expect something good from it. But when you're doing donations, you just want the good deeds. You just want to donate and then hope for the best. And they're just donating. They are not bribing. Like what kind of good will the rich donors get from bribing those who want to be a progressive political candidates? They just want to donate just for the best for everyone. Like how if they are donating too, they get the name, they get the brand, they get the brand new image or even better image. And then with that, everyone will start looking at them, and it will help their business, and then their business their business will go up. And then if their business go up, it will also help the community. It will also help the community or the country itself. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for everyone. Also, another thing, how they will become money-oriented to the large donations. Well, this is the part where I will totally say that the reason why they need it is because the exorbitant price of how for programs or proposing campaigns or programs are just expensive, and then they can utilize the large donation to do something better, like what the leader of opposition has said earlier regarding supporting new ideals of way of life and your lifestyle, where it's so much safer for everyone to live in. And then I propose once again this proposal for the sake of better world and safer community for everyone, because at the end of the day, it's actually a win-win situation, like what the other three has said. Even if at first it sounds like they only pick one side, but at the end of the day, the benefits can be for everyone. For example, better society, as in I will keep emphasizing about safer community for everyone, because we know how the LGBTQ people are being seen as, I quote unquote, those who are seen bad, that they don't fit to the stereotype. And we live in a world where stereotypes should not just exist. Like everyone at the end of the day is just the same people in the eye of God. Also, other than that, the better community, because it will also boost the economy of the country in general. And that's why I propose the proposal where the progressive political candidates should accept donation from the rich donor or rich people. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, thank you for the nice debate. This is the end of the pre-final round. So everyone, please just wait here for the announcements. Let the judge discuss and judge who will proceed to the final round. Thank you.